We're going to talk about last week's Doctor Who, the
Okay.
pilot. New season, and I don't think we ever talked about. No, actually, I somewhere out there's a copy of us talking about the return of Doctor Mysterio, which was a fun
Yeah.
Christmas episode, and we haven't seen Doctor Who since Christmas. And we knew he was getting a new companion, and we
Yeah.
knew this was going to be his last season run with Peter Capaldi, and that's as much as we really knew coming into this season. And then
Yeah.
the season pretty much hit. Yes, there was teasers and spoilers and this and that here and there. And then we actually got to the episode. So first off, before we actually get into like nitty gritty details talking about the episode itself, on a scale of 1 to TARDIS, or I mean 10, um, where would you put the episode?
Probably a 7 or an 8.
7 or 8? 7 or 8? Let's talk about Bill. Bill, the new companion. What do you think of Bill?
I like Bill. She's. I like Bill in the same way that I liked Clara.
At
In the
first?
fact that well, no, I like Clara throughout. But I just liked how she was, how they built her up, talking so much about her schooling and her job and her. The first like 3 minutes are just talking about who she is.
So it's the whole. We get some backstory to her. We get introduced that she's just a student. There's nothing impossible about her.
Well, she
There's
isn't
nothing.
even a student
Well,
at that point. She just works there because she can't afford to be a student yet.
yeah, she always wanted to attend the university, but she could never afford to go there. So she
Right.
did the next best thing. She worked in the cafeteria,
Yeah, she
which
got a job there.
which works. I mean, I don't blame her. Nice little sidetrack off the course there.
But yeah, I thought one, if we learned one good thing from Clara, and she has her detractors, and I'm very obviously in the minority, and I don't mind that. The thing is that, and I think this kind of pissed people off too, is that she was the first companion in a very long, probably since uh, Janet Fielding. Uh, what was her companion's name? The
uh,
stewardess.
uh,
Tegan.
yeah.
Probably since Tegan, this is the first one whose job and whose life really was a central part of who she was. Tegan left the show to become a stewardess again and then came back. That's really the first time anybody's chosen real life over the doctor. And now and they took it a step further with Clara that yeah, it's possible to have your cake and eat it too. You can travel with the doctor and still be back home in time for your job. And we saw her as many times in the opening of the show in her classroom as we did seeing her in the TARDIS. So it kind of paved the way for Bill, who now, the first 20 minutes is her, making crisps and or making chips and studying and tutoring. And I don't even think the story gets into sci-fi for 10 minutes?
Yeah, yeah,
They're
about that.
until Clara, I don't think they would have done that. It would have been like a Rose thing. It's like, hey, 3 minutes in, she just got done. She's walking home from
Hello.
making chips, and all of a sudden she's dragged into the doctor's life. It wouldn't have had that buildup.
Yeah,
And I really think that buildup helped.
it helped kind of humanize the companions a lot more, made them more relatable.
Well, yeah, and that's like I said, until Clara came in and was, she was a businesswoman, she had a career. She just happened to go with the doctor sometimes. It was so much more focused on, well, take Martha, who's another person I like that nobody else does. She was a doctor, a very successful doctor before she joined the TARDIS. But she left all that. She never was. She never went back to her job.
We all know
So
my
it's like,
opinion of Martha, so I'm not going to touch that one.
well, no, and that's fine. I just think Martha was nice because she was she was the companion we needed after Rose. Rose was the atypical, come with me if you want to live, and that's all she ever was, really. She is a good character, but she never really had any life outside of the Doctor in her stories.
For
And I think that hurt.
time out real quick. For anyone who's like watching the video later and wondering why I'm suddenly laughing, I'm just flashing back to Cassandra possessing Rose and the that whole fucking scene. Anyways,
Where she was,
when the bitchy trampoline possessed Rose and was checking out the body, yeah,
she was looking at her butt. And it's like, oh,
it's like a bouncy castle. Yeah. That's what I was flashing back. That's what I was flashing back to there.
I thought Bill. Did you see the little gem or the little Easter egg with Bill's name?
Oh yeah. For those who don't,
Bill Hartnell is the first Doctor, and Heather was his wife.
Yes.
So that was a neat little nod too.
Yes, and that was very nice. And then but anyway, so Bill.
I give Bill, starting out, she's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, Bill, the character herself, has actually got a lot of potential. And he's heard me harp about this, but I haven't really harped in a blog or video or podcast or anything like that too hard about this. But I deeply appreciate the fact that Bill is a lesbian. The reason why I deeply appreciate the fact that Bill is a lesbian is because she's not gonna be in love with the fucking Doctor.
Yes.
I deeply appreciate that.
Another reason that I liked Martha is Martha was suffering from that girl syndrome. Even if she wanted to fall in love with the Doctor had such a hard on. Most of Martha's run, it's like he didn't know who she was. And it would be nice to see somebody actually, now that the Doctor's got his head out of Rose's ass, to be on even keel with her. It's like, yeah, now they're just two individuals. It'll be really neat to see. We're only going to get it for one season, sadly. But hopefully it'll show that it can be done. It's just, yeah, I'm with you. I'm so happy that we're going to see a
companion that's not in love with the Doctor.
A companion that has no interest in the Doctor physically. It will be so nice.
Yes, and it's something that's okay. Yes,
it should have happened a long time ago.
We can both sit there and say Donna started out not in love with the Doctor. It wasn't until near the end that she actually fell in love with the Doctor. But she still fell in love with the Doctor. We haven't really had a companion that wasn't interested in what's hiding in the Time Lord's pants. Since,
well, aside from Mickey.
Well, Mickey is one of those weird exceptions.
He was the robot dog.
Yeah, the same with Rory. Rory is another one. He didn't really give two shits. It was kind of like, ooh, it's an adventure, and then I still have a life to do. Come on, Doctor, we can't do this all the time.
Thought here. Do you think that's why they don't do male companions with this new Doctor? Do you think they're writing so much on the sex appeal part that they think having somebody who doesn't see the Doctor that way would be a threat to their program?
Quite possibly.
Because really, aside from Jack, who went over amazing.
Okay, Jack is one of those rare exceptions where I sit there and I won't complain about a companion being in love with the Doctor, because
that's because he's in love with everything.
Yeah. I mean, if it's got a pulse and moves, he's in love with it.
Well, we saw how he acted to the robot lady, so it doesn't even need to have a pulse.
No, that's electrical pulse. Ha ha! So, I mean, it's really nice to actually have hello, Sirens. It's really nice to actually have a companion that's not going to be in love with the Doctor. We really haven't seen anything like that since, well, we had Adric, we had Susan, the rare times the Brigadier traveled with the Doctor. But yes, I know it is kind of a quote-unquote key component that the female companion is going to be in love with the Doctor. But we've had companions who weren't in love with the Doctor, who were there just for the exploration or the science or the adventure. And it's going to be nice to actually see a companion who is not going to be in love with the Doctor for that reason. And it makes me excited.
It frees up the script writers for other things.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, God, yes.
Well, now it's a question of, do the script writers have anything else?
Now,
that's what worries me.
Since you brought that up, that brings us actually to the main story of the first episode, the pilot. There is a love story in there, but it does not involve Bill and the Doctor. And I love that. And
Bill and Heather.
Bill and Heather, yes.
Heather is so pretty too.
Oh God, she was just scrumptious looking. The whole, as you were talking about, for the first 10 minutes, we see kind of a nice slice of life. Bill's just going about working her job. We see the Doctor teaching about, and I loved how they set up the acronym for TARDIS in there.
Oh,
that was beautiful.
Ow.
Time and relative dimensions in space. This is this is the meaning of life kind of thing. It's like, oh, that was beautiful. It's kind of interesting to see the Doctor actually being a teacher again, being the professor. For old Whovians, you'll definitely get that joke of Professor. God, that goes back quite a ways.
That was Tegan Jovanka.
Yes, that does go back good ways. So it was kind of nice because we got a little bit of that when Peter Capaldi did the bootstrap paradox explanation. That was nice, and so this kind of expanded on it. It was real kind of meta entertainment all around, and I enjoyed that. And the fact that they wove it in so seamlessly to the rest of the plot, because he's not just there teaching to teach, he's actually there for a reason.
Right.
And part of that plays into why the Doctor is there. And, okay, you have to... I love the fact that they brought back, and I'm forgetting his goddamn name, the other the pseudo-companion.
I don't know what his name is either. Although the first time
Nardal.
we see him, it's a great inside joke.
Yeah.
When he puts his arm down, the bolt drops out.
Yeah, well, and it's not even really an inside joke. It's the last time we saw Nardal was in the Husbands of River song, where he was just a head. Well, this kind of picked up where that left off. Is he's now got he's a head on a robotic body that just happens to be fashioned after his.
We saw him in Dr. Mysterio, but it wasn't enough, and for all we knew, he was just back to normal. This was the first time that they
confirmed he was.
He's in he's in an android body.
Yeah,
which is neat. I mean, when you stop and look at it, it sounds a little weird, but then it's like, well, yeah, how else would they do it? He didn't have a body anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a head. So, and the fact that they played with that a little bit to reintroduce actually, honestly, for being the dumb character, the tin dog of sorts. Okay, he's not really the tin dog. He's more like, who was the Amazon who kept wanting to stab things? God, I can't remember her name right now.
Leela,
thank you. He's a bit more like that, or he's comedic relief that's not as gung-ho as Strax, which I love Strax, but having Nardal there fills the comedic humor, but we're not going to see him getting beat up all the time. It's just kind of, he sits there, pokes the Doctor, goes, hey, you're supposed to be doing something, and oh, look, I'm funny. Which I'm okay with, and then especially since he just disappears again, I'm okay with that. So we've got a two companion setup of sorts, and we've got the Doctor at St. Luke's University, which is a throwback to not only the time of the Doctor and the name of the Doctor, but also a throwback to original Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
So they are very much engaging nostalgia, and they are engaging the fun for old Whovians, new Whovians. Now, the meat of the matter, the episode itself. as I started to talk about, is we get introduced to Bill in the first 10 minutes. We get to see the doctor teaching. Bill's living her life. The doctor's teaching. And the reason why Bill comes into the doctor's life is because, well, she's been sitting in on his lectures, which I fully admit I've sat in on a couple professors' lectures before when the subject caught my interest. And the fact that he offers to tutor her and basically make her an assistant in helping him grade papers and this and that, which is actually kind of cool. And he's actually taking on the professor role fully. And then, as they explain the TARDIS thing, we get to introduce the fact that Bill's not going to fall in love with the doctor because, well, she has her eyes set on a very, very shapely woman named Heather.
Mm-hmm.
And I did...
Again, nobody's complaining about Heather being in the story.
No. My only thing is she's going to be a one-off character, and that kind of disappoints me.
Well, I'm sure she'll show up again during the story, but yeah, what the conclusion of her storyline is going to be already, so.
Yeah. But, so, it was kind of nice. We get some slice of life, we get a little bit of mystery, we get some romance, we get some action, and then this episode starts picking up pace as Heather and Bill dance around each other, and we get introduced to this mysterious wet spot. Reflects you, but it's you that is not imperfect, which is a complete mindfuck when you think about it.
Actually, the way it was instead, it's a mirror, but it doesn't invert the image.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the mirror as if you were on the other side of the mirror looking at yourself.
Yeah.
So if you had a mole on your left side, if you're looking in this pool, instead of it being on your right, it would still be on your left.
Oh, no, it wouldn't be there at all. That was kind of the subtle undertones there. It's why, like Heather, she had that star image in her eye. That was gone.
Oh, it perfected it.
Yeah, it didn't reflect your image. It perfected your image. Which in itself is rather... when you think about it, when you look in a mirror every day and you see yourself and you just recognize yourself, all the little defects, all the little flaws, all the little issues, and so you don't think about what you would look like perfectly symmetrical.
Right.
And if you see that image, you know it's you see it's you, but something is just fundamentally wrong and foul.
Right.
And because it's you, but it's not you. And so things like that, so that was just interesting to me. Is that was just good fun, and because you actually had to look for the details there. Even with them holding your hand and going, "Oh, here, look at the details. Look at the details." You had to look for the details, and that was actually fun to me, because I'm weird like that. Go figure. And then as the story progresses, and this takes place over months. And so that was like, there is a progression of time. There are things going on, and that's excitable and so much fun because it's not just popping around, time skipping this and that. And through the progress of this, I mean, Heather's disappeared, and Bill's kind of heartbroken about it, and then it goes from kind of a slice of life with mysterious overtones and straight into normal Doctor Who science fiction. And the ride keeps going the whole way.
Yeah, one of the neatest things I saw with the opening before we really got into the main story was, and this is another storyline they're going to come back to, is the vault. We have no clue what the hell that vault is.
Exactly. Well,
but it was really cool because Bill got into the room with the vault, and I'm sure the Doctor will figure this out eventually. But they're like, "Hey, how did you set this?" Well, for friends only. So we already get the And the other thing it's kind of neat, but it's also kind of irritating is we don't know how many days or months were going by in that first bit.
Yeah.
We know that at some point she decides to join up. We know that she's getting A's. She's doing very well in her tutoring, and the doctor is apparently enjoying it, but we have no clue how much time is there. And in one way, that's kind of neat. In another way, it kind of makes it weird for Heather, because we're not quite sure where she comes into all of this. You get the idea that she's coming in at the end of it, but again, you don't know how much time that is. But yeah, I think the first part was some of the most enjoyable stuff in the story, especially, like you said, the lectures.
Oh yeah,
I thought those lectures were just awesome.
I honestly, the first half of the story being a breakaway from what we've come to associate as traditional Doctor Who, being, like I said, a slice of life, was a nice change of pace. We haven't really had that in a long time. And so it was really nice to actually have this slice of life, this different change of pace. And then once we hit a certain mark, then it goes from this nice slice of life, it's like, okay, to straight into Doctor Who territory of science fiction monsters and the Doctor running. Which is okay, because we get introduced to this when, Heather disappears. Which was kind of fun. You knew something happened with the puddle, because she kept staring at it, she became a little obsessed, and as her and Bill are flirting through the gate and Bill's having to run around, Heather disappears. So we know something happened with the puddle. It's not until they cut away and show her in the puddle that something is really wrong. And
right.
that was actually, we knew something happened, but I didn't think they were actually going to show her being, absorbed, being drowned. Whatever it was the puddle did to her, assimilating her, was really different and was actually efficiently creepy and a nice breakaway from what they have done with, the jump scares and this and that. It was like, whoa, they just kind of took a left turn here. Okay. Different approach. Interesting. We get a little more of the slice of life. Bill's kind of coping and accepting Heather's gone, and then she runs into Heather. She's mimicking Bill's movements and being sopping wet, which was a very good look for her. So, and that's when we go headlong into the science fiction territory. I loved Bill's reaction to the TARDIS being bigger on the inside. It was, is it a secret is it one of the secret tunnels that exist in universities like this, da-da-da. Is it a lift, things like that. And then she actually realizes that once they have moved from his office to the where the vault is, that we don't know what anything about the vault is beyond it's got Gallifrey and tech involved, that she kind of starts to get the program that something's wrong. And then the next great kind of throwback to the old series is when the Doctor, who is trying to outrun this mirroring Heather wet creature, he starts hopping around the universe. First he goes to Sydney. Takes about a minute for it to catch up with them, about 3 minutes to catch up with them in Sydney, Australia from Britain. Takes it about 8 minutes to catch up with them 53 million light years away, which is a hell of a distance. No, sorry, 53 million years in the future.
Oh.
And at the other side of the galaxy. That's pretty impressive. That's like TARDIS speed travel. And then...
Well, I think part of it was because it was linked with Bill. So it was just basically following her timeline around.
Which is quite possible. A little bit of lag, or maybe it was just going, I feel her here, there, And then...
Well, and the thing is, with the 50 million year old one, she could have beaten them there.
Yeah.
We only know that we only have an idea of when she got there because of when they noticed her. She could have been there the whole time, and they just noticed her then.
Which is true. And when you fiddle with, time and space and whatnot, there's, things like that. It's like she could the water creature that looked like Heather could have been waiting there for millennia. And then the next hop is into the past as the story starts to wrap up. And this was a great throwback. And I actually have to make sure I get the notes right on this one because I'm going to hate myself if I get it wrong again. Okay, there's the note I was looking for finally. It went back in time from 54 million years in the future to the Dalek-Movalian War, which is such a throwback. God, what was that? Destiny of the Daleks when it was first seen in. Okay.
It was the only time the Movalians have been seen. It was the second Davros episode with Tom Baker.
Destiny of the Daleks. And
yep.
Romana and
They were mentioned in the Peter Davidson one, but it was the aftermath of the second.
Yeah. Otherwise they've only appeared in comics and prose. So that's a hell of a serious throwback.
And Movalians, we have the Mondes Cybermen, and we have the Ice Warriors.
Yeah, coming back this season.
So this season is a real strong nod to classic Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And then while they are dealing with the Dalek-Movalian War, just so the Doctor can find out, well, can a Dalek exterminate anything? And that's when we learn, no, a Dalek can't kill everything.
That was so fucking awesome.
Holy crap, it was just like, exterminate, and takes 3 shots and doesn't flinch. This Heather...
And the creepiest thing was, she was answering it back.
Mm-hmm.
It would say exterminate, she would say it as it was shooting at her. My mom and I were sitting there, and I just looked at her and said, I don't think I've ever seen something a Dalek can't kill.
Yeah,
that makes this character like 1,000 times more interesting just by that one scene.
Yeah, and as I kind of stumbled / skipped over this, is the point where we learn about that it's reflecting the image, but it's imperfectly perfect or perfectly imperfect, depending on how you want to phrase that. It's the perfected image of you, is when the Doctor explains, it's a landing site of a ship, and that this creature is made of pretty much, like tranny or oil fluid from a spaceship.
Sentient fluid.
Yeah, it's a sentient fluid to help run the ship. It's sentient fluid that helps run the ship. And it can't be killed by a Dalek. Going back to the point where we skipped around, the Heather creature wasn't killed by a Dalek, and then as Nardal is locking down the Daleks and trying to protect the Doctor and Bill, we see a lone Dalek coming up. And that lone Dalek is the creature mimicking a Dalek.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh dear God, it can mimic a Dalek. And as we find out, it's linked to Bill because of the last thought and the last conversation Bill and Heather had was, don't go running off without me.
Right.
So it was it wasn't chasing the Doctor, it wasn't after the TARDIS, it was after Bill, because it was still processing and running on the last thoughts Heather had, was, don't take off without me. And it was kind of heartbreaking. It's like this horrible, terrible thing was just the last image, the last memories of a girl who was falling in love, who was crushing on someone, and wanted to just take Bill with her. And it's like, oh my God.
I'm gonna call it now. I really hope the ending to that line is that Bill does end up going with her, because I think that would probably be the best ending to that storyline.
Yeah, well, because we never really learn if Heather's actually dead. We just assume she's dead. But at the same time, this mimicry fluid is learning and adapting and evolving and changing. So who's to say that it may not become Heather Plus? It may become something wholly new and remembers its connection or a connection it had with somebody when it was first born / created, whatever else have you.
It makes me think of The Flesh.
Yes. Yeah, actually, very much so, yeah. That's actually a very good point. The Flesh or the I was talking about the Benchy trampoline, Cassandra, and the minions she had. How they were just grown.
Right.
So, I mean, there may be some connection there, which would be interesting. Though, the fact that I was able to travel through time and space like that, forwards and backwards through time, terrifying. Able to mimic a Dalek and take 3 full blast shots from a Dalek, terrifying. And the fact that it can consume a person and remember its last thoughts to chase them across all of time and space. Fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And then comes the question of, what ship did it come out of?
I'm sure that will be part of what we learn. I hope so.
But
I hope they don't leave that just thrown out to the wind there, because that would be a really bad move.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hinted that it might be like a Dalek or a Time Lord ship, but we don't know quite yet. There's no real confirmation there. But overall, yeah, and I do have to agree, it was a good 7 or 8 episode for a pilot, for the pilot, and for a season or opener, introducing a new companion, introducing the last arc of a Doctor's season, introducing with all the elements that it was really, really good. Not perfect, but really, really good.
It was definitely one of the better season openers.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, and you can admit it had a little bit of everything. It had action, it had romance, it had suspense, it had horror, it had a little bit of everything for everyone, which was actually really nice.
I think actually the part of it that I liked the most, like we said before, is that it was a very slow.
Yeah.
We didn't just jump right into it. I mean, we had a little moment with the vault.
Mm-hmm.
But we did just, 3 minutes, here's the new companion, and poof, we're off running.
Yeah.
We actually took time to establish who she was, establish what kind of person she was, establish what kind of life the Doctor is living now. Again, take a sideline, establish that they're there for more than one reason. And then we got into the story. So you actually had enough time to get comfortable enough with the new companion before just running off and doing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You did a little bit of that toward the end, but by then you were pretty comfortable with everybody. And so many times, like we said, with Rose, here's the thing. Okay, a minute and a half. Here's this person. Oh, run. And that's all you get. I think after Clara and the others, and Donna, that they've realized, yeah, people would like to get to know these people a little bit more. And hopefully they stick with it. I would like to think they would. Because they'll do a lot better if they give us time to meet and see the companions for who they were before this started. That way we can see them change as it goes.
Yeah.
Stuff like Rose, we have no clue what she was like before, so we don't know how she changed.
Yeah, well, we
got the whole thing.
We got tidbits, but we didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah, we saw her change from the point she was there, but we didn't see what came before.
Yeah.
This way we're seeing what came before, and now we're more interested. Granted, like we said, we only have a season.
Yeah.
But now we're going to be more interested when we see those changes, because we'll have a timeline. We'll be able to say, oh, now she's here. Now she's at this point.
Yeah.
I just hope that the writers don't fuck it up.
That is the hope of all Whovians at this point.
They've been known to do this, so I really hope
Let's be honest, it's been Stephen Moffat known to fuck things up.
Stephen Moffat and
Russell
T. Davies were both bad at that.
They were very bad about it. If the first episode, the pilot, is any indicator of how the rest of the season is going, and from what we got from that teaser trailer at the end, Of we got the original Cybermen. We get the Ice Warriors coming back. We get shit. What was that? What was the other one? I'm blanking on it already because I'm a terrible person.
Well, John Sims Master is supposed to be coming
But
back.
that was the other point I was going to get to is we get to see John Sims Master back, but it's not just John Sims Master. It's the Mistress.
I'm
Yes.
wondering, because of how the last one went with the Mistress, I'm wondering if they might be tied to the Mondas Cybermen, because the last time Missy was tied in with the Daleks.
Well,
So I wonder if maybe
hold up. She was also tied in with the new Cybermen, not just the Sidus Industries Cybermen, but the Cybermen who can construct themselves from just matter. That was so fucking weak. But that was also so she's been tied. But are we going to get to see John Sims regenerate into the Mistress? So we've got that to look forward to and to see how that's going to go. And it is also, like I said previously, the last season of Peter Capaldi. And if this season holds up as this first episode has, and given I've seen the second episode already, there's a lot of high hopes for the season. Especially it will be a good swan song and ending note for Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. So
I'm gonna miss him. I think he's done an admirable job. Given the story and how everything, I mean, come on, this Doctor Who was breaking new ground went from Hartnell to Troughton.
Yeah.
Capaldi's breaking new ground because it was supposed to stop at Smith, and now they've decided to reboot it, so now they're breaking new ground again.
Well, and that was
Given
that was kind of the double joke with the title of the episode, The Pilot. Is the pilot referring to Bill and Heather to be the pilot of this liquid entity, but also as kind of a reboot of the whole series with The Pilot, which was the unofficial title for The Unearthly Child, the very first episode of Doctor Who. It actually was a point. Stephen Moffat did talk about that. It was a deliberate thing. It was a double meaning in there. So there was purpose to him having the episode called The Pilot. Besides,
See, that's the thing.
I do my research. Leave me alone.
No, but you read interviews and stuff like that, and I'm just not interested in.
It's because I do research. That's what it comes down to. It's because I do the research.
Do research, but I do not need to. I don't feel like I need to do research to enjoy this stuff. I feel like as long as I can sit back.
I do the research not to just not to enjoy it, but to expand upon it. That's why I ever do research. And it's like I got some compliments about the two Griffin Bard from Anthrocon thing. It's because I actually I spend time researching. I want to actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. I think it's like 4 F-bombs I dropped in this episode. Yeah, that's a new record for minimal amount. But I like to do the research because it adds to the story, it adds more flavor, and then you can sit there and you go back and go, wow, that's actually kind of cool when you think about it this way and this way and this way, in the technical and the story elements and everything else. It's really cool, and I find that fascinating because I'm a massive nerd.
Yeah. I see, for me, what I like doing is I like getting the disc and then, turning on the commentary and learning about things that way. Listening to them sit down saying, this is how this shot went together. And and then if I learn it that way, that's fine. Because then the season's over, so it's not like it's going to really ruin anything for me coming up because I already know how things turn out.
Yeah. So anyways, since this has run about an hour, and I really appreciate everyone hanging around as long as you have, listening to me and Rendell jibber jabber back and forth, and it really is you really do have my my eternal gratitude for hanging around this long. If you haven't liked and subscribed, you know what? Hit the like and subscribe button right now, right down there. You know what to do. Hit the like and subscribe button. And then, you know what? Stay tuned. There's going to be more videos, more things coming up here soon. And I really hope everyone has a good week. I will talk to you all next time. So, thanks, everybody.